Welcome to the Witchy Work Wishes podcast, a place to find your weekly inspiration for bringing your personal witchcraft practice into your business, work, and office. Welcome to Witchy Work Wishes. You are joining me today for episode number 97. Oh my goodness, we're getting really close to the big 100. But for today, it is all about servitors and how we can create one. I have a guest with me today, actually back with me. I was lucky enough to grab him last year when I was starting to work on a servitor, my first servitor for the office, and I was not able to find a bunch of information online about it. So we have Axel joining us today, and I originally found him through an article that he wrote, a while back, and I reached out asking if he would be willing to be a guest on Witchy Work Wishes. And he said yes. And now here we are over a year later, and I am ready to create another servitor for my second location. So it's just perfect timing. Perfect timing that he and I started talking again and that we were able to join forces to bring you today's episode. But before heading into the recording with Yaxel, I do like to pull some things that I did over the weekend in my own personal practice. This past weekend, I had another sign, or I think it was another sign with the hands and, the glove images that I kept getting last weekend. So this time, it was while sitting at my vanity, getting ready one morning, and, those clay projects that kids make when they're like in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, the fun kid stuff, school stuff. Well, I have those hanging on my vanity and around my vanity, the ones that my boys made. So one is of a small handprint of my younger son, Connor. It's a beautiful round clay imprint of his right hand from back in 2006. Well, it fell down. It fell down from the spot on the vanity that it's been hanging from forever. Now, the clay hand imprint didn't break, but it startled me. And it was the actual yarn holding it up that broke, but it fell down right in front of me, like face up with his handprint on top. So, okay, another hand. And if I read into it, I do think it's another message. So the right hand is our giving hand. Our left hand is our receiving hand, right? So, but it's another hand. And I just feel like I'm being ignorant. Like I don't see it yet. Which is probably why I keep getting these breadcrumbs. Someone is trying to get a message to me and I'm not getting it. I understand what's going on. I understand that there is a message that's trying to be given, but I don't understand what the complete message is yet. I hope I'm able to receive the message before it's too late, because I know someone is trying really hard to get something through to me. But for other projects, I did a bunch of yard work and cleanup at the new place. And with the full moon on Monday, I wanted to start up my fire magic again with the fire pit. Now, I tried it, if you remember, for the first time at the new location, back with the dark moon. And oh boy, that was not the right time. There was nothing that felt right about it back then. But it called to me this past weekend, so I put energy into the space and worked in the yard to create the full moon atmosphere that I wanted to do some fire magic in. And it was amazing. It worked this time, or it was the right time, I guess. I was able to burn some herbs. I was able to work with my gratitude and gratefulness of having this space and, use some bay leaves to put things in motion. August full moon, oh my goodness, that was our sturgeon moon, which if you are really into the moon cycles, this happened to be our first super moon of 2024. And not just a super moon, but a super blue moon. Now, I talk about this in more depth in my Moon Magic series, what a super moon is and what a blue moon is. But a super moon is basically going to tie into the moon's orbit and where it is in relation to our planet. When it's super, it's close to Earth. Not a lot different, but enough. It's enough to make it look bigger and thus brighter when it's full. So that's the super part of it. When we add the blue part to it, which refers to a second full moon in one calendar month. That saying, oh yeah, it's not going to happen for until we have a blue moon. It's rare. Most of our calendar months have a single full moon in it. But every once in a while, just how it plays out in the moon cycle, we're going to get two full moons in one calendar month. That's the blue portion of it. So a super full blue moon, oh my gosh, so that's even more rare, right? So NASA, I think, says it happens about every 10 years. It can be exaggerated as far as like 20 years, but this doesn't happen often. So blue moons, I think those happen every couple years. It's just the way, the cycle happens of sometimes we're going to have 30, 31 days in our calendar where the moon cycle is 29 and a half days. So, at some point it's going to catch up and we're going to get that blue moon. But if you are feeling it, all that energy, what is happening, what is going on, this past weekend, and honestly, Monday, probably through Tuesday, it's a lot. That's a lot of energy. And it's for good reason if you're feeling stuff. So it was important for me to work with the energy and incorporate my fire workings with it. And, my spells were, my workings were all very successful with the Sturgeon full super blue moon. All right, let's go into our servitors. Now, I have my second location up and running, with the expansion of my business, and I want to create and work with a servitor for the client intake with it. I was so successful, and I am still so successful with my first servitor, thanks to the help of Yaxel. But I am now looking to duplicate the process all over again. So it's perfect timing that he is back with us today, walking us through the steps to create a servitor. And towards the end, Yaxel talks about how servitors grow. And it really, really stuck with me. So I wanted to quote him now so that when you get to that portion of the recording, it sticks with you too. So he said, once your servitor is created, he said, the more you pay attention to your servitor, the stronger it gets. The stronger it gets, the more influential it is. The more influential it is, the more it serves its purpose. And the more it serves its purpose, the stronger it becomes. The stronger it becomes, the further it reaches, and the further it reaches, the more power it has. That just stuck with me. I felt it the minute he said it. You'll hear it when it comes up, but that makes sense to me, and that shows me how much power our servitors can have if we spend the time to create them the right way, to give them the right attention, and to encourage them along. So it grows, they grow with us. It's all about the energy you give and the care and nurturing energy you shower it with. And it's a process, right? It all directly affects the work it does for you, though. So let's head over to the recording with Yaxel and learn how to make a servitor. All right, everybody, we are back, and I am so excited to have a guest who was with us actually last year join us again today to walk us through what a servitor is, how we can make one ourselves. But Yaxel, I am so excited to have you back on the show. I would love for you to introduce yourself to the listeners and where we can find you online.
Hi, so I'm Yaxel Acosta, otherwise known as Yaxel the Manic. I am available on Instagram at Manic Box Magic. That's like the best place to find me.
Okay.
And then Threads, I go on there once in a while as well. But I'm much more active on the Instagram where I post like pretty cool stuff, I think.
Sure, sure. And I'll make sure I put those in that Instagram access on the show notes too.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate that.
And so tell us a little bit about yourself, Yaxel.
So I'm 30 years old.
Okay.
I have been practicing chaos magic for about 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And once I started practicing from the very first moment I found chaos magic, it became my life's dedication. Not just chaos magic, but esotericism and occultism in general.
Sure.
I study like my favorite thing about chaos magic, I believe, is the eclecticism, the fact that it's not about the dogma or like the strict belief in something.
Yes.
It's about the technique used behind it that matters.
Was it one of those things when you started looking into it, like you just felt like you were coming home, like this just made so much sense to you?
So it's kind of crazy, but for my very first sigil I did, right? So I found Chaos Magic through some random Facebook group name,
Mm-hmm.
and then I Googled it and I looked up Chaos Magic because it sounded cool, you know?
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, it's like, oh, hey, I found a psychological model, which made sense to me because before this, I was a strict rational empiricist.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was a complete 180 in my life. You know what I mean? I find so I did a sigil for the very first time. I was at my mother's house burning Christmas garbage.
Oh,
It was the first week of January, and I did my first sigil. I was very, very manic. You know, I had bipolar disorder,
I see. Okay.
and I had bipolar one with psychotic tendencies. So it's very managed now. You know what I mean? I've been stable now since almost.
Well, I think that just that alone, there's got to be such a process to understand you know, like what makes you tick and what is going to help you help yourself. You know what I mean? Like there's got to be a big process once there's more of like a label, which I hate sometimes to do, but that's got to be a process to understand everything and then say, okay, what's the best version of me that I can become now that I have all this information?
So I think that's just like that's kind of like the end goal of life. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
enlightenment or crossing the abyss or going to heaven, going up, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? The
Right,
only
right.
secret is that you just gotta find your purpose, and the purpose of your life is to live it.
Yes.
I'm an existentialist through and through, much more of an absurdist, though. Honestly,
Sure, sure.
I find a lot of personal significance in the Sisyphean myth.
Oh, okay.
You know, like imagine being Sisyphus, doomed to Hades, having to push up a hill, a boulder up to the very top of a hill
That's
every day, just to watch it tumble back down to the ground.
I think there's probably a lot of people that just really identified with that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and Albert Camus wrote about it. Albert Camus wrote about it in his book, The Myth of Sisyphus, where we must imagine Sisyphus happy.
Okay.
Even though his life does not reach the goal he wishes it to every single time, he has a purpose, and that purpose is singular. I must push this boulder up the hill.
No matter if it comes back down.
Exactly, exactly. That's the whole point, you know what I mean? Because you gotta
Yeah.
go up and down. You can't just keep going up all the time. You go up all the time, you reach mania. You go down too far, you reach depression.
So true. Yeah, Axel. And you know what though? Don't you think like if you haven't experienced some of the bigger swings, so exactly what you're saying, I kind of relate it to the pendulum, right? You know, and that balance that we all of us, I think, fight to find and achieve. It's if you stay right in the middle, it's going to be really hard to experience things. And that back and forth sway of the pendulum, it matters. And you don't know what being really sad is until you've probably been really happy. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I this is different, you know, or you're not going to understand what
Right.
being really happy is until you've been really sad. It's hard.
Exactly.
It's hard to balance it all.
I mean, that's kind of the whole point of duality, I guess. You know what I mean? The whole reason animals were separate from humans is
Mm,
because humans are able to differentiate between light and dark and night and day and good and evil.
right.
You know, animals don't go up or down really. They just exist. They don't, you know what I mean? Nothing an animal does is ever evil.
That's it. That's true. That's true.
I've been doing a lot of studying on things like predator-prey relationships within an organic environment.
Hmm.
Because I always wondered, like, how can somebody be a predator and not be like a bad person? You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I was thinking about it, and it's like, okay, so it goes back to Darwinian evolution,
Right.
where that's what birds. Like I love birds. Okay, I
I
have
do
a big
too.
thing for avians. I love them. I had a cockatiel. She just recently passed away, and my heart's
Oh,
broken.
oh, I'm so sorry. Cockatiels are amazing.
Oh, she's such a sweetheart too, and she has so much personality. I refuse to keep her in a cage
Yeah,
because I just don't think anything that's born to fly should have a roof over its head.
yeah.
Anyway,
Sorry.
so
Well,
the
I'm sorry you lost her.
it's okay. It's okay. You know, the birds are leading me to her.
Sure, sure.
But so the birds help each other out because they're social creatures, right?
Mm-hmm.
They eat together, they flock together, they work together. Every bird does. The falcon, even though it might eat the little birds, still watches out for the flock for like cats and bobcats and stuff.
Sure.
But then the bobcat helps thin the cockatiel herd because the weakest members that are sick or can't function anymore will drag the group down.
Right, right.
And like it's not that they don't want them around, it's not that they don't love the cockatiel that's, sick and injured and broken.
Right.
It's just that in a natural environment there is scarcity. You can only have so many members of the flock.
That's right. It's just
So the
natural. That's
predator
part
is
of the natural world. Yeah.
exactly. So the predator is doing the prey a favor by
Mhm.
calling the herd so that their flock can grow stronger over time.
Sure.
This goes back to evolution. You know what I mean? So like, just get in the herd until only the strong live.
Yeah. I don't have the exact thing that I hate to even bring it up, but there was some amazing video, and I think it was Yellowstone,
Yeah.
for the United States, where they reintroduced the wolf, and how all just by doing that singular act, which those guys got banished for a long time, but by reintroducing the wolf, like every little section of the ecosystem there in the Yellowstone Park, National Park, it started to thrive again because that balance had to be there, and the prey predator is natural and it is needed. And
Yeah,
it was just,
absolutely.
oh, it was an amazing video. It was like a three or 4 minute clip that I shared with like my family and some other people, and it was like this matters. Like all these little ecosystems that weren't able to thrive because different herds and populations were like they all speak to each other, and you don't think they do, but the little ground mouse or the little, the sparrow, or to the bigger
Exactly.
thing like the deer and the elk, and
They know each other's languages.
they do.
Kind of
They,
like how a Pokemon can understand another Pokemon.
yeah. Yep.
So I've been studying a lot like the language of the birds, which is
Hmm.
talked about in a lot of ancient grimoires.
Yes.
And so it's like the grimoires are all coded to be like, oh, this demon stole this, or show you how to talk to herbs and plants.
Yeah.
But really, all it's saying is just be getting out to trust you. You'll get to learn what the plant herbs do that it eats.
You're right. Right.
You know what I mean? And sure, the spirits may actually exist, but they're metaphors.
I love
You
it.
feel what a servitor is. A servitor is essentially a modern day entity which we have created to serve a purpose.
Right. Okay, let's go. As long as you said servitor, let's jump into it. Okay, so I actually did look at our notes from last time, Yaxel, and basically what you walked me and the listeners through last year was we kind of talked about what a servitor is. You, you talked about
Right.
the stages, like kind of 3 steps to create a servitor. Then
Okay.
you kind of dove into a little bit of like if sigil work is needed to create a servitor. You definitely focused on or talked about how servitors can be used effectively. And then you did walk us through what we need to do to keep our servitors alive. And then
Right.
also, once their job was done, how we can release them. And then I think I asked you at the end, real quick, just because I always, try to tie things back to the office, if the same steps were basically used to create a servitor for the office. And if you don't, real quick, I have to tell you, I
Okay.
I followed all your steps last year.
Oh, nice.
And
Did you tell your office mates about them?
oh my goodness, our office servitor, it's just it was just meant to be that you and I reached out again because I opened a second location for my office for my main business, and I want to have a separate servitor for the second spot. But I have to
Right.
tell you, I went step by step, Yaxel, exactly what we reviewed. I made my notes, and I created this amazing, he's a cast iron, we named him Douglas, servitor, but he is so powerful and effective. We actually have to bring him in sometimes. Like we're like, okay,
Yeah.
you just need to take a break because we had too
You're
many.
overworking yourself, man. Take a vacation.
Right, yeah, seriously. I also found that by bringing, when it was kind of busy and overwhelming, by bringing him, even though he was for the office, I brought him home to kind of be with me over the weekend, and then brought him back on Monday to do his work. And
Right.
that kind of changed the flow. I got to say that I think that changed things up a little bit, and he liked it. We liked it. We saw a little difference in the type of clients he was bringing in afterwards. So anyways, I have to say, on a personal level, your steps really helped me last year. So I'm really excited to have you back today to do this all over again. And you can
I
add
know,
and
right?
fluff and all that good stuff. So the floor is yours, Yaxel. What is a servitor?
So a servitor is a artificially created entity which has been crafted by a practitioner or a group of practitioners, which would technically be an egregore,
Mm-hmm.
for the purpose of completing a task or teaching something or assigning, a purpose to it.
Sure.
So what happens is this servitor, you take a concept, okay? Let's say I take a concept like what do you sell? Like what's your business about?
Yeah, so it's a service business. I do bookkeeping and payroll services for like the local wineries and restaurants. So
Okay,
it's
my mom
service.
does work like
Yeah.
that. My mom does work like that.
Oh, she does? Oh, I love it.
Yeah, definitely. My mom, she has like a master's in human resources and shit like that. You know what I mean?
I love it. That's perfect.
Yeah, I found my love of numbers through my mother.
Oh, that's nice.
My dad taught me words.
There's a balance. See, there you go again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so a servitor, and I think I asked you this last year, they are singular in purpose. Is that correct? Like you don't give one servitor multiple jobs to do.
If you do give a servitor multiple jobs, you want them to be connected in some very easily linked way.
Okay.
Let's say I want to make a servitor for, let's say money. Let's just say money to be
Sure.
simple, okay? So I create a servitor to have money. So it's tasks, which is what I would call it.
Mm-hmm.
I told like I call them like psychomechanical almost.
Okay.
They're like almost like AI but psychological.
Gotcha.
I learned from a buddy of mine from a Russia area who taught me. He called them biomechanical.
Oh, all right.
So I take the concept such as money, and that money I give a name. I give a name to the concept.
Okay.
So gain money is the concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I do gain money, and I want to give it a name. So usually how I come up with a name is I have a ton of different methods. Honestly, I create charts and shit all day.
Okay.
Let's say we just do the Osmosis Fair method, where we take all the vowels out. So it'd be G N M
Mhm.
N Y.
That's right. I remember you doing that. Okay, yes, yes.
And you take out the double letters, so it'll be GMY, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you just make a random name out of that, like Gomi.
Yeah.
You take Gomi, who is now about making money, and you take Gomi and you give him the task of make money through increased sales, make money through improved networking, make money through professional etiquette. You know what I mean?
I see. Okay, so yes, different tasks or ways to achieve one common goal, one common
Right.
request. Okay.
Right. I kind of got like the inspiration from it from Gordon White on Run Soup,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
who talked about trolling.
I see.
Spalling is pretty much the same idea, but with sigils.
Okay.
And now a servitor is pretty much just a sigil given life. It's very abstract and heady, I know, but like
No, no, no.
once
I'm with
you,
you. I'm totally with you.
it's crazy. It's like right. So in chaos magic, there's 5 models of how magic works. Model meaning like foundation or like framework, system.
Okay.
And there's the psychological, the information, the energy, the spiritual, and the meta.
Okay.
So the meta model is the one that I like to work in the most, because meta represents all of them. It's self-referential. Goes through all 4 whenever we need them.
Sure.
But I tend to stick within the psychological and information models. I mean, all the models work, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it just depends on which one you want to use it for. But I like psychological and information because it's sort of like, human made. Like
Right, right. Okay.
if
So
you're working with
you,
a spirit, but you're working with a spirit model, you don't know who the fuck made that spirit.
that's true. Yeah, the original spirit, that's true.
Exactly. So you don't know how tainted or good it is at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's a common like quote within the slogan within the KO community. You know what I mean? Don't use other people's spirits. You don't know where they've been.
I understand that. All right,
Yeah.
so what you're talking about is coming up with a concept and then putting that concept into words and then removing the vowels and then coming up with
Yeah.
somewhat of a name and then
Right.
that image of that name, which could be anything, right? You can draw or do whatever, but that
Exactly. As long as it links back to it.
as long as it links back to it, that is your servitor. Where I think what I did was I took an actual object that I can touch and hold and
Yeah, I call that an anchor.
yes, exactly.
They used to call it a fetish back in the day because a fetish means object.
Okay, okay,
That's what like in the old school books. Like let's say you were to read like some 18th century witchcraft book,
sure.
they would call it either a puppet or a fetish.
Pop it. Okay, yeah.
It's the
Okay,
same basic idea, you know?
sure.
So here's this concept, like, Goey. We take Goey and we say that he has the task list, and we give him an anchor. You know what I mean? Which I don't really use anchors a lot usually,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe I should. I started actually lately. I'm making some protection puppets.
Mm-hmm.
They watch over my house pretty good.
I like that.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
pretty
so
cool
are you actually already walking us through the stages to create a servitor? That first step would be to come up with a name,
for the concept you want
the
the
concept.
concept. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, the cat.
Okay. And then the second step is what?
So now that you have that done, you
Yeah.
probably want you can do the next steps in any order really.
Okay.
So what I would do next would be assign correspondences to it.
Mm-hmm.
They take concepts such as money, and then what corresponds with money. So what planet corresponds with money? Jupiter. And then Jupiter. It's what energy or what classical element represents money. That'd be Earth.
Mm-hmm.
What planet represents money? Also making money. So it'd be Earth and Mercury, and then Mercury too. So Jupiter and Mercury is what you want.
Okay.
And then you would have with energy with the elemental, you would have the Earth. And you want a little bit of fire too, not too much. You want a little bit of fire. So you can craft with fire, but you can also destroy with fire.
Sure. I love working with element of fire. Love it.
Oh, me too. I am a very willful person. You know what I mean? King of Wands is one of my favorite fucking cards.
Ah, right on.
King of Wands, a magician, and the Fool, of course.
Yeah.
Top three right there.
Done.
That's just me. You know what I mean? That's who I embody: the Fool, the magician, and the King of Wands.
Right, right.
And sometimes the Page of Cups when I got to.
But you're saying definitely to pay attention to your servitor, what the energy is to help achieve the goals, and then start pulling in things that are going to support that. Like you said,
Exactly.
yeah, what planet works with it, what element works with
Element,
it. Okay.
maybe deity if you want to go that far with it. I work with the Greek
Mm-hmm.
pantheon a lot. You know.
Yeah.
I love the Greek pantheon because like Greek mythology is essentially just it's like an exploration of the psychological mind.
Yes.
They're just stories about humanity given superpowers.
It's interesting with, not to get on a total rabbit hole here, but
Heh.
I've definitely, I feel like my calling is more towards the Norse.
Oh,
Um,
definitely. I like
yeah.
runes a lot. I like runes a lot.
Yes. Yeah, I love the rune. I'm so knee deep into runes right now. It's not even funny. But I'm loving it. I'm just absolutely loving it. But
Runes have been calling me a lot lately, honestly. Like, I keep
oh, have
hearing
you?
it. All the time. I hear like study the runes, study the runes.
Yes.
I have Yerez appear to me. I've had Isa appear to me. I've had
Yeah.
Othala appear to me. Not all these though, for some reason.
I just had a big trip up in the high Sierras. I'm out in California, but up in the mountains, we were really high up, above 9,000 feet. And I worked so strongly with the Othala rune the whole week I was up there. Really.
What does Othala represent?
So Othala is going to be kind of like your family, your heritage, you know,
The
your
bloodline.
your genealogy. Is like, yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
This is your pod. This is
This
these
is
are
my
your people.
tribe.
You're my tribe, exactly.
Yeah.
Really ties all that energy in, and it was what I needed because I happened to be able to vacation with my two boys, and we were up at a place that I've been at for 55 years, and it was just um
Right.
but it
Like,
was
yeah, I've been studying my roots a lot lately too. Like I'm very Irish Catholic.
oh yeah, yeah,
I mean, I'm not an Irish Catholic, but I like working within that paradigm sometimes.
sure.
You know what I mean? Because like the strongest magic you're gonna have is the current that your family's passed throughout the generations.
That's it. I think so too.
Yeah.
I think if you identify with one, whether you have the strong genealogy ties to it, or the family history to it, I think if it calls to you, it calls to you. But what I was going to say for the Greek deities, it seems like I know Hecate is, with the Greek deities, but it seems like she crosses over a lot. Like she's
Oh,
like
definitely. I mean,
right.
all these. Well, Hecate is like she's the Titan in a lot of the myths.
Yes,
And
she's not just in the Greek world. I mean, she is with the Greek, but like so many people work with her that aren't necessarily tied to the Greek deities.
well, it's just one big game of telephone. You know what I mean? Like
It's true.
like
It's true.
Egypt created Thoth, so Greek
Yeah,
created Hermes, so then Rome creates or whatever Hermes Trismegistus.
sure.
And it just goes on and on and on, telling the same old stories over and over and over again until eventually we reach heaven.
Yeah. Okay, so back to our servitors. Are we kind of on step three now of the creation stage? Like we've
You've
step one.
identified its identity.
Say it again.
you've identified the servitor's identity.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
So the next step would be some sort of birthing or activation or running, whatever you want to call it, because it's all the same
Yes.
thing, you know?
Yes.
So and there's many different techniques you can do with this. You know, it's you're pretty much just taking this idea and breathing life into it somehow, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Whether that be through some software program or through actual breathing or through meditation or through energy work, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just find a model that works for you and then make it work within that model.
Okay. Yeah, whatever your practice is.
Exactly. Make it fit. Make it fit.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the third step really is we know what you are, we know what your job is going to be.
Right.
Now I'm activating you. I'm
I'm
putting you to
breathing
work.
life into you. I am your creator. I am your God. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So then you take that, and once you've given it life, you got to do it. You got to work at it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You can't have it happen once. It doesn't work that way.
So that was one of the things I think we talked about before is like, how do you keep a servitor active? How do you keep them happy? I've definitely found it with my guy, what we need to do personally with him, but
Yeah.
overall, what do you need to do?
So they require attention first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you don't pay attention to something, it dies. It's like a flower, you know.
Sure.
So you take that, you give it attention, and of course you're going to attach other energy concepts to it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I want to speak to the spirit river. So I name it Nyx, and the river represents all the emotions I feel.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you just breathe life into it.
Yeah.
And then you talk to it. I like to talk to mine like they're people. Don't disrespect
We
your
do too.
spirit.
Yeah, Axel, we do too. Same. My office staff and I completely talk to Douglas all the time. Oh my gosh.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like the fact that you use such like a regular name because like I'm always going for some weird, fantastical sci-fi bullshit kind of name.
Honestly, it was collective. It was the stat we waited and then all of a sudden we're like, wait a minute. No, that's it. Like this is it. Like it just came. It was amazing. Like all of us working together and coming up with what the name was going to be.
Right. I like to use a lot of so I'll create like random generators or shit
Mm-hmm.
that I use like dice rolls for.
Oh, okay.
So that's just kind of I work with chaos a lot. Like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm definitely a very chaos person. Like I there's a big misconception of what chaos actually means. Like, it's not discord and destruction.
What
You
does
know what
it
I
mean to
mean?
you?
Chaos is just well in the ancient Greek philosophies, chaos, which was spelled K-H-A-O-S, was the pure embodiment of the void.
Oh,
The void is in pure nothingness from which all creation has the potential to spring forth from.
okay.
Chaos is order that we cannot define yet.
Oh, that's interesting.
Chaos, like there's patterns everywhere. There's no such thing as a non-pattern example. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I created these videos on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You can find a lot of my content. Like I have a central content hub,
Okay.
and it's at zero-sum.neocities.org.
Okay.
And you can find all my content on there. There's some. I just kind of throw everything on it that I write. You know what I mean? It's not all polished or anything. It's kind of a work in progress.
But that means it's raw, it's authentic, it's you. It's what you're
Exactly,
thinking of
exactly.
yeah. I like that.
I really like my write up on the Neochrist files, which is a complicated thing. I'm just giving suggestions, okay?
Sure, sure.
But it's complicated. And I have my liminal distortion network on there.
Okay.
And I have an article I wrote on the first iteration of datamancy.
Oh.
You know what I mean? I'm doing a lot, like a lot of research and development, you know?
But that must be talking to you on some level and motivating you to look at it deeper.
It's my purpose, you know?
Your purpose. Yeah, okay. There you go. Okay, so back to the servitors and sigils. So we have our step 3 done. We have activated our servitor and now that's it. It's free to go do its job and to work.
Right. Well, before I do that, I have to do like a statement of intent or like a declaration of life.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm like, your name is whatever. Your purpose is this. I am this. You do this for me, and I give this to you.
Yes.
And then you do that, and then you just release it into the world, and then you train it if you have to.
Mm-hmm.
Show it what it looks like to do the job.
That's fair, right? It's so young and innocent
Exactly. It's an
and
infant.
yeah, it needs some guidance of, hey, what does this mean? Like, I think it means this. Is this what it means to you too? If I bring you back this, is this what you're looking for?
I just say yes or no.
Yes. Okay.
Exactly. Like it's so hard to find quality content on servitors and thought forums.
It really is.
I
I'm so happy I found you. I'm sure it was on the first episode that we recorded, but Yeah, no, it was, you wrote an article like 3 or 4 years ago somewhere, and I found it, and I reached out to you. I'm like, I need help. I'm looking to do a servitor, and the data is just not online.
Really?
There's not a lot. I wasn't able to find it.
Oh,
So you train them,
they just show them the ropes.
yeah, show them the ropes.
So like when like Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden
Mm-hmm.
and they were learning how to evolve from, pre-hominid man into Homo sapien, they learned from the birds and the animals, the bugs and trees and the herbs and the sky and the clouds and the stag. They learned how to, how it all worked.
Mm-hmm.
The groundhog taught them how to find fresh water, while the birds showed them where to find minerals, stuff like
Yes.
that.
Yes. Yes.
So while we're learning all this, what happened was we somehow gained free will.
Mm-hmm.
We no longer had to listen to the natural order, and that's where we split off, and that was the fall of man. Yeah, and I'm not talking about it as it was literal. I'm not a biblical
Yeah.
literalist. I'm
Yeah.
not dumb. But it's like, I mean, horseshoe crab evolved 6 times throughout history. You know what I mean? How crazy is that?
Right. Isn't it?
I know, like the crab must be the perfect type of species to evolve 6 times differently after 65 extinctions, and it comes back again.
That's a great point to make, Yaxel. That's
So,
true.
anyways, once humans gain free will, which is when the voice appears inside their head,
Mm-hmm.
I believe that it was some sort of mycelium ancestor. So what do you call it? Like, imagine you're just some bird, you know what I mean? You're flying, and all of a sudden, oh my god, I hear a voice. What is this thing in my head? What are these concepts? What is black and white?
What is it? Yeah.
You know what I
Everything
mean? All of a sudden,
changes.
you're like, holy shit, this must be God.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? And then it's like, okay, then you just ease up a little bit, and then you become, they teach you again.
Yeah.
But, eventually the voice becomes yours.
That's interesting. That's a different take on it. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's all right there in the text. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, people either take it so literally that it's just like, not, it's just so literal, it's abstract.
Okay.
Or people take it so abstractly, it becomes literal. I mean, I'm in the middle. You know what I mean? You
Yes,
can't
I do.
ignore history either.
Yeah.
The hard part about that, though, is that history is written by the winners. And ever since agriculture was developed, we were able to develop scarcity. So it's like before we had to, forage and hunt for food.
Right.
So we had to work together. But all of a sudden, 4 humans figure out that if I plant these seeds in a row, they'll grow better, and I can harvest them all, and I can sell them to them. And once that happens, the weak have to survive. The weak now are dependent on the strong,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not natural because the weak don't get anything out of it.
Hmm.
And that's that. Like, so humans are defying the natural order of the world by not following the message of Christ and Buddha and all the other ones.
Right.
Love thy neighbor as thyself. Love thyself as you would others. That's the first step, dude. And like once you do that, you can do anything you want in the world.
I'm definitely all about like you do you, as long as it doesn't hurt somebody else. I
Exactly.
I really, if you start hurting other people, okay, now we got a different game that we're playing,
Now
but
you have an issue.
yeah.
The way I explain it is like, okay, so within my chaos magic paradigm, I believe that every individual on Earth, all 8 billion of us, and the millions upon billions upon trillions that live before us,
Mm-hmm.
they all have their own version of the universe. Because like the universe is based on consciousness. What
Yeah.
is consciousness? It is a first person subjective experience.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that there have been that many variations of the universe, right?
Right.
So I am master of my universe. In my mind, I am the master. In your mind, you are the master. Now
Mm-hmm.
our universes can meet. You know what I mean? We can meet in the middle. We can conversate. We can discuss. We can collaborate. You know what I mean?
There can be parallel thoughts and ideas and understandings. Yeah.
Exactly. We have to respect each other.
Right.
But the moment someone else is, an enemy, you want to call them, quote unquote, once you impose the will of your universe onto the will of my universe, I have the right to defend myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like, there's different types, obviously. Like people always
Yeah.
go for such a strange as soon as you hear that.
Yeah, there's extremes that you can go with that one for sure.
Exactly. But like most interactions are gonna be, minor because with karma, every action has an equal and opposite reaction.
Right. No, I love it. Thank you for sharing that, Yaxel.
Yeah. No, thank you. I appreciate you having me on. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Oh no, no. We love it here. So this is good. It's always, I mean, even I think what's fun about talking with other people and sharing ideas, just like what you were saying right now, like I always like to listen, and I'm pretty set. I'm older, I think I have a pretty good groove with my cadence. I know I know what I'm doing. But
Right,
somebody says something every once in a while, and I'm like, oh yeah, like what does that mean? And I'm just curious about it because it just wasn't something I thought about before. And there's no
right.
way I'm gonna ever have that, oh yeah, what does that mean moment unless I listen to other people and I take the opportunity to open up and just listen. Doesn't mean you have to act on it, but just listen. And I like that. So I appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I appreciate the insight. It's
Yeah.
very hard here. I live in a very small rural town. It's very right wing. I'm the only fucking person in the entire town that even practices, esotericism.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we have a bunch of, some supporting Christians here.
Yeah.
I don't mean to talk shit like that because I respect everybody's idea to believe whatever the hell they want.
For sure.
You know what I mean? But like, my life's mine, and I don't want to be put in any kind of camp or something next year.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Screw that project. Hell,
Yeah. That's not your path.
it's not. Oh, thank God for that.
Yeah.
Blessings to all.
Right.
Thank you, God.
Good. Okay, so what about is that good for the servitors? Like I feel like we know how to make one, we know what it is, we know how to make
No.
one, we know how to like send it off to work. We know we have to kind of keep um keep strong attention to it or attention, to keep it
Right.
alive. How about releasing it? What about when the job is done? How would we say thank you and release it so it doesn't have to work anymore?
I guess you could. I guess it would depend on the relationship you had with the Servitor.
Mm-hmm.
If a Servitor had to withstand a lot of negative energy,
Mm-hmm.
if it was taking the brunt of force or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And of course, they're gonna beg for forgiveness. They're gonna beg for release.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it had a good job, and
And they
you
liked
gave
it.
it, and you gave it a reward every time,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You just gave it a carrot instead of the stick.
So is there a timeline though? Like, do servitors typically only live so long, or no, that's up to the practitioner? Like what?
Yeah, exactly. It's a practitioner. But of
Okay.
course, the will of the Servitor has to be respected as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Well,
Yeah,
what
it's not
about
okay.
any other thoughts on servitors that you want to make sure the listeners know and understand before they go off to make one?
Uh, I definitely say that you should treat any spirit or thought form or whatever you want to call them with the utmost respect.
I agree.
It doesn't matter what. Like Solomonic magic has got it so ass backwards. Oh, I'm gonna summon a spirit in a triangle and imprison it.
Oh gosh.
That's what it teaches you to do in some of those books.
Right.
But what you want to do is just want to respect it. You live, I live. I help you, you help me. I may be the predator, or whatever you want to call it, but you are also part of the natural order. That's
It's a
all.
relationship. That's what it sounds like you're
Exactly.
talking about a relationship. Yeah.
It is a relationship. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think too that there's probably different levels of servitors that can be created. You could,
Oh,
some
for sure. I
right
mean,
can
like, so
make
what you have in your office would be more of an egregore.
okay.
An egregore is a servitor that works for a group.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, you have an egregore, you're gonna have more people paying attention to this concept.
Yeah.
The more you pay attention to this concept, the stronger it gets. The
Mm-hmm.
stronger it gets, the more influential it is. The more influential it is, the more it serves its purpose. The
Yeah.
more it serves its purpose, the stronger it is. The stronger it is, the further it reaches. The further it reaches, the more power it has.
You just completely perfectly explained how Douglas has evolved over the past year. Like that is absolutely I'm gonna quote that somewhere. Because
Thank you. That was the best way I've ever put it. You know what I mean?
that is literally that is him. That is our guy. And it is, I just feel so lucky to have him. And we just like I'm so excited to create another one. But then you get nervous, like when you've done something so well, you're like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, can I duplicate this? Can I do this again at for another servitor for this location? And like
Right.
what if it doesn't work this time? I don't know. Like it's so I think it's natural to have some doubts, I think, when you do it, but it's like, oh my gosh, like for one, honestly, Yaxel, for the first one I did out of the gate, he's badass. He's totally badass.
Oh,
And I
definitely.
I hope I can do it again. I know I
No,
can.
I'm glad. I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad your first, test with it was a success like that. You know what I mean? It's
Oh
very
my gosh.
reaffirming to have it like that.
Yes. Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited to do this all over again. I don't know what the Servitor up the new location is going to be yet. I'm sure it'll be a crow again or a raven, but I'm not sure. I haven't found it. You know, that kind of has to happen organically, and that has to like it just all has to, you have to look at something like, okay, I mean, for me, I need that like visual, physical thing that I can touch. So I haven't found it yet. But when I do, like I'll know. I'll just have a feeling like you're it. You're the one for me.
Right.
Oh my gosh. And I think, okay, last year too, just since I do like to tie it back to office stuff, is there anything different from what you were just saying to bring that energy into the office? Or you're truly going through all the same steps?
It's all the same steps, just much more detailed. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've been doing a lot of research and study. You should see how many notebooks I freaking have.
Really? Is it a lot? Yeah.
I feel like one of those guys who got a glimpse of the great beyond, and I'm just stuck in the attic writing weird runes all over the place trying to decode the universe.
You know what though? But that makes sense to you. So I just say run with it.
Yeah. Like, I kind of love it, honestly. You know what I mean? I kind of like being a little manic in the attic.
Yeah. There's your new name.
I
Mannequin,
know, I love it. It's so organic, you know?
right? Yeah, it's I'm having a lot of fun with the runes myself. I'm just really enjoying getting to know each one, learning about the process and what that language was, you know, and I think it's just so for me, it's so different from wrapping my head around what our alphabet is, because the runes are not an alphabet. They're not a, you know, like the letter A does not have emotional meaning. It does, where the runes have emotional meaning, even though they can be
Right.
used in like the early alphabet type stuff. It's not a letter, it's an image. And really working around that as a starting point is it's a different way to look at things.
Right.
Oh my goodness, Yaxel, I love that we got to spend some time today. Okay,
Oh,
so
definitely. It's been a great conversation.
oh, I love it. And then if somebody has a question, like they are starting their first servitor, or even maybe they've made a couple servitors in the past and they just haven't had a great amount of success with it. Is it okay if they reach out to you with specific questions? Because I'll be adding your
Oh, absolutely.
yeah,
I will
okay.
answer any question anyone ever has. Everyone ever messages me free of charge.
Oh, thank you.
It's not about money. I'm about, knowledge.
Yeah, right on. I love that. I am too. Okay, so remind us again then where can we reach you?
So you can find my Instagram at Manic Fox Magic, magic with a K,
Mm-hmm.
and you can find my personal archive of like, it's not all my files, but it's the ones I've, worked up enough to put courage to put online to
Sure.
publish.
Yeah.
So it's zero dash sum, and it's zero like the word, and then dash sum like like adding.
Mm-hmm.
Dot neocities dot org.
Okay, so I will put your Instagram link in the show notes, and I'm going to put that site in the show notes as well.
Thank
And
you, hon.
yeah, no, thank you, because it's especially when you are not super confident in making, you know, a servitor, like it's just nice to have somebody say like, hey, yeah, you know, you're on the right step, or you're on the right path, or oh gosh, maybe try tweaking it this way and see if you have better luck, or you know,
Right, exactly. Just we work it.
networking. Yeah, we're gonna we're gonna stick with our network and help each other.
Exactly. Pragmatism is a big part of my practice.
Nice.
I do it in the most chaotic way, though.
Hey, but again, that's what makes sense to you, right?
Exactly. I'm number 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah, very nice. Well, do you have any big projects coming up, Yaxel, or anything on your docket for the future that you're working
At the
on?
moment, I'm working on a couple novels, creative fiction.
Are you really?
Yeah, I started this book called The Nobodies.
Oh,
It's insane. It's going to be a really crazy idea. It's pretty the core idea is that somebody just wakes up one day in a body, has no idea what all these thoughts and concepts are. They're being thrown at them all day.
yeah,
And all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, what is this? What is this? What is this? You know what I mean?
right. How do I
It's
process?
like being born a blank slate in a grown man's body.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that you gotta, work your way through it and be like, so you're laying there, also you breathe, and you're like, oh my God, I'm awake. And you're like, what's awake mean? What's
Right,
right,
right. But not at like an infant level. You're talking about as an adult level, like as a
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
oh, wow.
It's called what's it called? Like a non-linear plot line.
Okay,
I'm very, very inspired by the works of Mark Z. Danielewski.
I'll look
House
that
of
up.
Leaves.
Yeah.
House of Leaves is one of my favorite novels of all time.
Okay.
At the end, it's a love story.
Yeah.
It's one of the best books in the world.
I love it. Okay, right on.
Yeah. It's just very. I'm like you can't tell. I'm exploring concepts on like the labyrinth right now
Mm-hmm.
and trying to escape the labyrinth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I keep trying to find Miles' goddamn gold thread. I'm looking for it, but I can't find it. I also like to shout out my buddy Ali Words.
Sure, yes.
Yeah, he is a big inspiration for me with his Buto no Technosis books,
Okay,
which
nice.
is all about turning a TTRPG into a chaos magic paradigm.
Okay.
And
And you
that's
said there's
that's just a big
multiple?
hit for me. What?
There's he said there's multiple books?
Oh, it's a huge series. There's like 8.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's pretty heady stuff, but it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like I said, you just gotta find what works.
Well, again, that's somebody that you can really identify with and motivates you to
Yeah, definitely a colleague. You know what I mean?
yes, yes. Oh, that's a great shout out then. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Very nice. Oh my gosh, Yaxel. Okay, I think this gets, certainly me in the right direction for doing the servitor work again. And listeners, if you have if you are doing this too, if you're on the same path like I am of creating a new servitor, and you have any questions, Yaxel said, okay, reach out. So
Yeah, pretty much.
so ask away, and I don't know. I think I really like bringing the servitor work into my practice, and I can say for the only one I've ever done, it has been amazing, and it is still amazing to this day. He is a worker bee.
Definitely.
I love it. All right, well, thank you so much, Yaxel. I'm gonna switch over to the poem. Actually, I might even use the same poem I did with our episode last year about servitors, because I did a pretty cool one. But I want to say thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your time and you spending the last half hour-ish with us, talking about servitors.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you very much for having me on. It's been a great time.
Yay! All right, and for everybody else, if you would like to stay with me, I'm going to go grab that poem and talk about our beautiful moon, and I will be right back.
Well, again, another big thank you to Yaxel for joining me on today's episode all about servitors. I am so happy he and I were able to connect again and he can walk us through these steps. I will definitely be doing this again once I find my servitor. I like to have something physical that I can touch and animate, but it's coming for me. I'm ready to go. Once I find my servitor, I'll know. I'll know when it's right. And I did look at my poem from last year that I created after speaking with Yaxel then. I'm going to pull it again for today just because I really like what I came up with last year. So let's do the poem first. All right, and it goes. Servitor, I call you forth and bring your energy alive. The task you hold is brave and true, and with your strength will thrive. Servitor, I name you, from this day forth and on. I call upon your chivalry from morning dusk to dawn. Servitor, I give you power, with water, air, and fire, and with the grounded earth, your protection is my desire. Servitor, I praise you and give you all my love. Please guard me and protect me from all I tell you of. Servitor, I call you in all your strength and power. Be brave and protect the space from your watchful tower. Okay, moon this week. Woo! Slowing down. Actually, probably doesn't feel like it, right? But it is going to start to. Monday's super blue full moon was a biggie, and really, it probably still feels pretty active, even on Wednesday as this airs. So, we might not feel like it's waning yet, but she is starting to. And this beginning early phase is called waning gibbous. And hopefully we can take a breath and start to relax too. We will feel more waning-ish next week. But for now, I hope you're able to slow down a bit, yourself, and let everything that happened with the full moon, kind of marinate and process. I am so glad you are here with me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode about servitors. A big thank you again to Yaxel for walking us through the steps and for sharing his time with all of us. I will have his contact info in the show notes, but again, that is going to be Manic Fox Magic, magic with a K, on Instagram if you want to search for him there. And you can always head to 0-sum.neocities.org for his site. But I'll have those specifics in the show notes. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week and a great weekend. I will talk with you next week. Thank you for joining me today at Witchy Work Wishes, a place to find your weekly inspiration for bringing your personal witchcraft practice into your business, work, and office. For more information and additional content, please visit me online at witchyworkwishes.com. If you want to send me a personal note, please email me at info@witchyworkwishes.com. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Just search for Witchy Work Wishes.